Catching!
Forget cable, switch to Frontier. The Fios Triple Play brings dedicated 100% fiber optics to your home. Fios TV, 15x5 internet and digital phone for $119.99 per month with 2-year price protection plan on qualifying service. FrontierPacificNW.com.
That's what we're talking about, Bob.
Is that what that is?
Catching! We had an interesting conversation with our friend Mike Blowers on the Mike Blowers Show on Wednesday, which is normally going to be on Tuesday, but about all things Mariners, and one of the things we hit on was what we think so far of Jesus Montero behind the plate. Now, I think we've all seen some exciting things at the plate. Certainly, he came here advertised as a hitter, and there'll be a growing pain or two. He's only 22, but holy cow, hitting at the opposite field, the power he's shown. Behind the plate, you can see everything. At the plate. Behind the plate is kind of what I want to talk about a little bit, though. Because of the injury to Olivo, he'd been pressed into duty, Montero, probably more than they would have thought. And yet, I'll say after 38, 39 games, not too bad.
Well, that's because the expectation coming in is he wasn't even able to catch a ball. That's the way he was perceived. The reviews from guys like Keith Law and those that have scouted him talked about, there's no way he can get it done. He can catch. The question is he going to be able to throw out runners on a consistent basis?
Sure.
That, for me, the jury is still way out. I don't think he can. And this is not here. I'm not here to rip him. I just don't think he's a natural athlete. He's not quick. And that's what it's going to take, that transfer, getting his feet set, being short, and getting that ball down there. As Mike Blowers said when he joined us, he's been throwing sinkers down there. He's got a good arm, but he's just not in a good position.
Opens up kind of and doesn't throw it right.
I mean, is that correctable? Sure, but I don't know if he's going to get quicker. I don't know if he's a guy that with his size it's going to get quicker. And the other question is his ability to call games. And we've seen a lot of visits to the mound, which he's a young guy. He's 22 years old. If they're really committed to him being the catcher, then he's going to have to develop his ability to get on the same page with each individual pitcher who's, Millwood different from Felix, different from Vargas and everybody else. So there's still a lot in front of him if you're going to commit to him, which I still am on record to say I hope they don't. You brought him in for the bat. I'd rather he's not worn down through a season of catching behind the plate if he's not your best option. Olivo hasn't set the standard real high. I think catcher is still something they need to acquire moving forward. I don't think he's your catcher of the future.
Well, I know Olivo, if and when he comes back from injury, is going to play some. I'll be watching to see how he does, because in terms of what you're talking about, that's mechanics, and his mechanics are bad on that throw. That's something that should get better, but there's no guarantee it gets better. Calling the game is one thing. It's kind of understanding what the pitchers want. To me, it's kind of the little things, though. Framing a pitch that's not a strike for a strike. Especially on things that are pass balls and things like that. Some of the little subtleties of the position we took for granted with a guy like Dan Wilson. He certainly does not have yet, but I think you made a good point right out of the chute. Our expectations were exceedingly low going into it, and he's not a disaster back there by any means.
Well, no.
Long term, I'd probably rather not see him too, but he's not a disaster.
I mean, you were basically told you're lucky if he figured out which hand to put the mitt on. I mean, they made him sound like he was completely inept. He's not inept on any level. He's just, I would say he's an average at best catcher, maybe a little below at this point. But again, you brought him over for the bat. I would prefer that's the focus and that they address the catcher position moving forward.
Sounds good to me.